Hey, hey, hey. Time for an out-of-this-world story from rSpace. Nothing feels quite as satisfying as spitting the cold, hard facts. Today on rSpace, boy, it feels so good to finally say what you've been thinking all along. Up first, the infamous grocery store encounter. I, 32 male, found out my long-term girlfriend, 30 female, was cheating through her own texts. I never thought I'd be in a situation like this. I guess no one does. You don't go into a relationship expecting betrayal, but there I was, staring at my phone, knowing my life was about to change in a way I never saw coming. Sarah and I had been together for 6 years. We weren't just dating, we lived together, had a joint savings account, and were planning a future. Marriage was something we had talked about casually, never with a set date, but we both knew we were headed in that direction. Or at least, I thought we were. She worked in marketing, a demanding job that often had her attending work events, networking functions, and conferences. I trusted her completely. She was always independent, had her own friends, and I never wanted to be the kind of guy who checked in too much. Maybe I should have. The signs were small at first. Her phone suddenly getting more privacy settings, more nights out with work friends, a little more distance between us. I chalked it up to stress. I even asked her about it, and she told me I was overthinking, that I needed to relax. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Then, one evening, my friend Josh sent me a message. Hey man, I don't know if I should be saying this, but I saw Sarah last night. She was with some guy. They were close. Too close. He sent a picture. It wasn't anything explicit, just Sarah leaning into a guy at a bar, laughing, her hand resting on his thigh. Maybe not damning evidence, but definitely not nothing. I felt sick. I told myself there had to be an explanation. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I needed to see for myself. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone while she was in the shower. I hated myself for it, but I needed the truth. And I found it. Messages. Flirty ones. Hidden under a different name in her contacts. Meeting up, sneaking around. She'd been sleeping with him for at least 3 months. 3 months of my life where I thought things were just stressful, where I thought we were fine. I didn't confront her immediately. I couldn't. I needed time to process. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I told her we needed to talk. I sat her down, showed her the messages, and asked her to explain. She froze. I could see her mind working, scrambling for a way out. Then the excuses started. It wasn't serious. I never meant to hurt you. I was confused. Then came the guilt trip. You've been so distant lately. I thought maybe you weren't in love with me anymore. I just sat there, listening to her try to rewrite history, trying to make me the reason she did this. I didn't yell. I didn't lose my temper. I just told her to pack a bag and leave. She cried, tried to touch my arm, begged me not to make any rash decisions, but I had already made up my mind. She moved in with a friend. A few weeks later, I started sorting out the logistics, our finances, our apartment lease. She tried to reach out, tried to meet up to talk things through. I refused. There was nothing left to say. I wasn't going to waste my time demanding apologies for trying to understand something I could never make sense of. She made her choice. I made mine. Now, months later, I'm still adjusting to the silence of living alone again, to the shift from we to me. Some days I miss her. Not who she was at the end, but the person I thought she was before. But I know better now. Update. I figured some closure might be useful for others going through something similar. Sarah has tried to reach out more times than I can count. At first, it was desperate apologies, then long-winded explanations, then attempts of nostalgia, sending pictures of old trips, trying to remind me of the good times. We actually ran into each other completely by accident. At all places, the grocery store. I was in the frozen food aisle, just grabbing some basics, when I heard someone call my name. I turned around and there she was, standing there awkwardly, holding a basket full of items. She looked nervous, hesitant, like she wasn't sure if she should say anything. I gave her a small nod, acknowledging her presence, but said nothing. She took that as an invitation to talk. Hey, how have you been? She asked, her voice softer than I remembered. I shrugged. I've been good. It was the truth. I've been focusing on myself, hitting the gym more, reconnecting with old friends, finally picking up some hobbies I had neglected. I wasn't bitter anymore, just done. She sighed, shifting on her feet. I miss you. I just looked at her for a second, then replied, I don't. That was the end of it. She didn't try to follow me, didn't plead or make a scene. She just stood there as I turned away and walked to the checkout line. That moment made me realize the sight of her didn't stir up any emotions. No anger, no sadness, no nostalgia. Just indifference. And that, more than anything, felt like the biggest win of all. Update 2. A lot of people told me I was lucky to have found out before marriage or kids, and I completely agree. It could have been so much worse. For those wondering if she went back to the guy she cheated with, I don't know, and I don't care. Her choices are no longer my concern. Someone asked if I'll ever be able to trust again. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, I'm just enjoying the peace of being single and focusing on my own life. Maybe one day, but I'm in no rush. For everyone who reached out with support, thank you. It means more than I can say. A simple, I don't miss you, is way more powerful than any long speech or argument. You didn't let her try to rewrite the past, and that's exactly what you needed to do. People need to know the cold, hard truth sometimes. Have you ever run into an ex unexpectedly? And if so, how did you handle it? Up next, a few secrets hiding in plain sight. I, 25 female, discovered my boyfriend, 28 male, of 3 years is cheating. Tonight is the biggest night of his life. Help me. I won't go into all the gory details of our relationship. We were in love, and, well, I still love him, but I found out, clearly, he does not. I discovered proof that he has been cheating on me for a while, in the form of small home movies of them. I don't know the girl, and from the looks of their conversations, went ahead and post-discovery snooped, she has no idea I exist. Tonight is the biggest night of my boyfriend's life. He's receiving a state award at a big dinner with a few hundred people attending, from his mom and dad to councilmen and all of that. In fact, the only reason I discovered this transgression is because I have been putting together a little video for him to enjoy some of the key moments of his life. You know, typical sappy crap. I'm burdened with a lot of power right now, and I don't know if I have it in me to do the right thing, or if I even know the right thing. I'm blinded with tears of rage and sadness and betrayal, but at the same time, I love him, have loved him, and do I really want to do this? The relationship is over, no doubt about it. I'm not a woman who will take her man cheating on her. Certainly not. That's not the issue. The issue is, there are cutesy selfies of the two of them, a lot of them, only shared between the two of them. Nothing lewd, there's plenty of that on camera though. Do I sneak one in the snap reel as a way of letting him know that I know? Or do I simply confront him after his moment of the sun passes? I'm not going to pick up everything and leave without cutting contact. That's not my style, and it wouldn't make me feel good, just very sad. Do I do the witchy thing for once in my life? To anyone looking at a snap reel, it would just look like a picture of him and a friend. But to him and to me, it would be a private message, an outing. Help me, Reddit. I don't know what to do this time. TLDR. Found out boyfriend was cheating on me, have the power to let him know via slipping a photo of the two of them into the snap reel showing tonight. Should I do it or gracefully exit his life? Let's check in and see what the community thinks she should do. Nah, you know what? If there's really nothing that anyone would pick up on other than the two of you, you slip that photo into the slideshow, make eye contact with him when the photo appears on screen. Then, when it's over, just stand up and walk out. It ain't the high road, but nobody needs to walk the high road all the time. The OP replies, I chuckled. I think the only reason I would do this is to make eye contact with him so that he knows I know. But I'm not sure I have the guts to do that. I'm not exactly Olivia Pope. Update, 6 weeks later. Well, it's been a month and a half since this all went down. I've gotten so many requests for an update and I never intended to actually give one, honestly, because I was afraid of the fallout depending on what I ended up doing. So what did I do? I did the immature, vengeful thing, and I don't regret it. I took a few photos of the two of them, tasteful photos that gave off no indication other than she might be a childhood friend. I slipped them into the snap reel, and I spoke kindly of him on the podium. Then, after my turn was finished, I walked out. I drove home feeling calm and in control. 20 minutes later, the text started. Where did I go? What did I know? Where did I find the photos? Was there more in store for him? I texted him, I know you've been effing her, but there are no more photos. There weren't any, and of course, I left it at that. He didn't come home that night. Or the next. The next day, he called me to ask if we could meet and talk at a public location. I agreed to meet him at Starbucks. I arrived early, waited for him. He showed up a few minutes late and took the seat across from me. He started right off with the excuses how it just happened, and he regrets it fully. She doesn't mean anything to him, and that she looked like a girl he had a crush on in high school, and he was powerless against his teenage self. I didn't interrupt him, just let him have his time. When he was done and looking at me for a sign of what might happen next, all I could say was, So where did you stay the past 2 nights? Her house. And what did you do? He wouldn't answer. There hadn't been any doubt in my mind. Really, I knew I was leaving him. He talked over himself, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, saying he'd change. I told him that I didn't want him to have to change himself, that if who he was naturally was someone who cheated on his girlfriend, then that's not someone I wanted to be with. He said that he was thinking of proposing to me, and all I could say after that was, good thing I found out before. Fast forward to a few weeks later. He's moved out and I am doing well. We've cut contact. People ask me about him all the time, and I just let them know he left me for a girl who looked like his high school crush. So that's the end. We're broken up. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. I don't feel any regret for how I handled it. Like one commenter said, there's no need to take the high road all the time. I'd probably go for it too, just to see his face when it clicks. There's something so satisfying about catching someone in the act of realizing their deception. It's like you're silently saying, I know, and now you know that I know. You don't need to say a word. His reaction would be all the proof you need that you've struck a chord. What do you think? What would you have done in this situation? And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.